I never want it to come off as me being ungrateful for the opportunities I have. I can also be having the greatest time and simultaneously wishing people would stop sending me death threats.
Right. Every time that a celebrity gets like one DM that says KYS, they're like, I'm getting death threats. Someone save me, but not a prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
Don't
anybody but a prince.
Don't you dare save me.
Well, she like waits on
you know the saying, go woke, get broke, and Disney's going to lose money on this movie. And I believe it only made less than $1 million in China.
Seriously, it's funny. And by the way, so is making fun of Snow White. It's funny.
Of course. What would you do when you have this narcissistic nightmare trying to ruin a film that you've put hundreds of millions of dollars into?
Woke Snow White, you are not going to believe what this woman publicized, because you just can't close your mouth. You just can't be sane, even when you do open your mouth. I think this girl does not deserve a feature-length film.
Because corporations in America now are...
They're leaning in.
Or what?
They're leaning into woke. Hardcore.
They're petrified of some kind of backlash. I mean, you see with Disney now.
They spent $170 million to make the thing, and it had the lowest opening, under $50 million, of any of these live-action Disney remakes that they've ever had.
But you don't seemingly like your own character, so she comes off as an insufferable, whiny brat.
She was, as woke as they are.
This woman is extraordinarily woke, as everyone is in Hollywood, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged.
No one on the right side of America can stand the star of this movie.
She just sounds bitter and angry.
I don't think they're going to buy it. I don't think they're going to watch it. I don't think they're going to like it.
The star, Rachel Zegler, is unbelievably charmless in public.
This truly is the worst casting, maybe, in the history of the film industry.
You have nothing to do with the creation of Snow White. Right. You should shut up.
Rachel Zegler, she's an asshole.
Rachel is literally the star of a Disney movie, and she acts like she's some sort of victim, and that's the sort of mentality that is just poisoning people's minds. Like, she acts like her life is so bad.
Every time she speaks, she gets less likable.
I truly do believe that. There's something wrong with her. She's disturbed, she's unhappy, and she thinks it's about feminism and the patriarchy and about abortion, but the reality is she's just not stable.
A few lessons for Disney. Number one, stop cannibalizing all your old IP. Like, it's really bad. It's really bad business. Number two, please stop changing all of the historic plots, which actually have meaning to generations of people, to instead become generic woke story about how woman leads revolutionary uprising and she don't need no man.
If Disney wants to make more woke films that tank at the box office, they are more than welcome to do that, but maybe think of an original idea.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, I don't need your business. Thanks.
Rachel Zegler's Disney contract just leaked, and fans are spiraling. According to rumors, there's a secret clause that could make her responsible for up to $100 million in damages after the Snow White disaster. The leak claims Rachel's paycheck was partially tied to box office numbers and audience reception. And with the film already getting dragged online before it's even released, people think she's in serious trouble. Even wilder? There's allegedly a clause about reputational harm, meaning Disney could hold her accountable if her public comments hurt the film's image. And let's be real, she did go viral for saying she never liked the original, and that the new Snow White wouldn't be about finding love. Some fans say she was just being honest. Others think she was distancing herself from a movie she knew was going to flop. Then came the silence. Rachel vanished from press. Gal Gadot dipped too. Even Selena Gomez shaded the remake with a subtle like on a shady post. It's giving damage control from all angles. Now Disney's delaying the release, keeping quiet, and the internet is convinced they're gearing up for legal action behind the scenes. Was Rachel set up? Did she see this coming? Or did Disney's billion-dollar fairy tale crumble because no one believed in it? Back in 2021, Rachel Zegler was announced as the new face of Disney's live-action Snow White. At the time, it felt like a major win. She had just wrapped filming West Side Story with Steven Spielberg, and Disney clearly saw her as the next big thing. Young, ethnically diverse, Broadway-trained, and fresh-faced, she checked all the boxes for their modern rebrand. Insiders claimed Disney wasn't just rebooting Snow White for fun. This was supposed to be a full-blown revival of their princess empire, with Rachel at the center. New dolls, merch, streaming content, and even theme park tie-ins were quietly being mapped out behind the scenes. But Disney also knew it was risky. They were taking one of their most iconic traditional characters and handing her over to someone who had a much edgier Gen Z energy, someone who didn't exactly worship the old Disney formula. From the start, it was a gamble. And as soon as Rachel started doing press and publicly questioned the story, The prince, and the whole idea of a damsel in distress, it raised eyebrows, not just from fans, but from the execs who had just built an entire marketing strategy around her. Things really started spiraling when clips of Rachel's interviews went viral, but not in a good way. Instead of hyping up the magic of Snow White, she was rolling her eyes at the original film, calling the prince a stalker, and bragging about how her version would be nothing like the classic. It came off less like a modern update and more like she was embarrassed by the entire story. She said her Snow White wouldn't be saved by a man, and that the prince was basically irrelevant. Fans who grew up loving the original didn't take it well. The tone felt smug, even mocking, and suddenly Rachel went from fresh new face of Disney to the girl who disrespected a classic. The clips blew up on social media, sparking a wave of edits, memes, and angry tweets. People started asking why Disney would cast someone who clearly didn't even like the role. Even longtime Disney loyalists began turning. The more Rachel doubled down, the more it fed the backlash. Her words weren't just seen as bold. They came off arrogant, ungrateful, and completely out of touch with the audience Disney needed to win over. And if that morality clause in her contract really does exist, this might have been the moment she unknowingly triggered it. While the internet was dragging Rachel, Disney stayed completely silent, and that silence spoke volumes. No statements, no PR spin, no attempts to clarify her comments. For a company known for aggressively controlling its brand image, the radio silence was suspicious. According to insiders, Disney was already in full damage control mode behind the scenes. Executives were reportedly blindsided by how fast things escalated. They had bet big on Rachel being the next Emma Watson or Zendaya, someone who could carry a franchise while staying polished and on message. Instead, they got viral soundbites and fan outrage. Some reports even claimed that internal meetings were held to reassess marketing plans, reshoots, and whether the film should be delayed or quietly buried. Disney didn't cancel anything outright, but you could feel the shift. Promotion slowed down, release updates became vague, and Rachel? She wasn't sent on any more press runs. It felt like Disney was slowly distancing itself without having to say a word, all while keeping her locked in that contract, just in case they needed leverage later. The contract leak didn't come from some random Reddit thread via. It started with a suspiciously detailed post from an anonymous account on a legal gossip forum that's known for spilling Hollywood tea before it hits the blogs. The post claimed to have partial access to internal Disney documentation through a third-party entertainment law firm. Most people shrugged it off at first, until the post started naming specifics. It referenced the exact date Rachel signed the contract, the code name Disney used for the Snow White reboot during production, and even mentioned a morality clause, one that supposedly included language about preserving Disney's family-friendly image and maintaining respect for legacy IPs. The kicker? The post also listed a dollar figure tied to potential damages 100 million blanks, allegedly based on projected revenue across merchandise, box office, and theme park campaigns. That's when the internet really started paying attention. Because even if it sounded wild, it felt possible. Disney is a multi-billion-dollar brand that has historically protected its image like a fortress. A morality clause isn't some new concept. They've used it before. And when you start connecting the dots, Rachel's PR disasters, the paused promo cycle, the internal tension, it all starts to look a little too clean. Then came the so-called screenshots, a blurry photo of what looks like a page from the contract, allegedly sent by a former intern who claims they saw a copy during a team meeting. The image shows a paragraph outlining performance-based conduct requirements, with vague but intense penalties for actions that result in brand degradation or public disapproval of company-owned intellectual property. No one's been able to officially confirm the image, but that hasn't stopped it from going viral. Fans and drama accounts ran with it, analyzing the text like it was the Zapruder film. And the more people picked it apart, the more believable it seemed. At this point, even if the contract leak is fake, it's real enough to live rent-free in people's heads. And that's the part that matters, because if Disney did build Rachel's entire career around this project, and now she's seen as the reason it's tanking, the legal consequences might be a lot more real than anyone expected. Disney's done plenty of live-action princess reboots before, and while not all of them were hits, none of the actresses stirred the kind of drama Rachel Zegler did. Emma Watson had opinions about Beauty and the Beast, sure, but she made it clear she respected the original. She worked closely with Disney to modernize Belle without throwing the entire story under the bus. Same with Lily James in Cinderella. She stayed gracious, focused on the magic, and played her role like she knew she was part of something iconic. Even Halle Bailey, who faced way more backlash than Rachel ever did, carried herself with grace and never shaded the original Little Mermaid once. That's what made Rachel's press tour hit so differently. Instead of uplifting the legacy, she came across like she was tearing it down, like she was too cool to be a Disney princess. Fans didn't hear, "I'm proud to play Snow White." They heard, "This movie is outdated, and I'm fixing it." That tone clashed with everything people love about Disney's classics. And when you're the lead actress in a film based on a 70-year-old fairy tale, it's probably not the best look to go scorched earth on the story your audience grew up with. What's wild is that Rachel could have handled this like a win. She had the chance to introduce Snow White to a new generation, with a modern twist and better representation. But instead of blending the old with the new, she almost acted like the old needed to be erased. That's where the disconnect hit. Her attitude made it feel like Disney was ashamed of its own legacy. And that's a dangerous vibe when your entire brand runs on nostalgia. Some people think Rachel just got bad media training. Others say she let her rising fame go to her head. But either way, it's clear Disney didn't expect her to come in swinging like that. Especially not when they had invested so much in her being the future of the brand. And if those contract rumors are even half true, this might be the exact kind of conduct Disney warned her not to do. Once the contract leak started circulating, the fan base turned fast. At first, people were dragging Rachel for her interviews, sure, but there were still some who defended her, saying she was just being a feminist or trying to modernize an outdated story. But when the rumored morality clause surfaced and that insane $100 million figure got tossed around, the conversation shifted. Suddenly, it wasn't just Rachel was messy during promo. It became Rachel cost Disney money. And if there's one thing Disney fans love more than princesses, it's drama about the mouse losing money. Online Disney stans, the ones who practically treat Disneyland like a religion, started calling her ungrateful, a liability, even the worst casting choice since that Mulan remake. Threads popped up comparing her press interviews to Halle Bailey's. Fan accounts that once supported the live-action Snow White started scrubbing Rachel content. People who'd once argued she was being unfairly attacked began switching sides, especially after the leaked screenshots dropped. Even if they weren't confirmed, they felt real enough to stick. Some users pulled receipts, posting side-by-sides of Rachel's most controversial quotes against images of the original Snow White. Others made fan edits of Disney replacing her with other actresses. Some even photoshopped Zendaya into the role, saying she should have been Snow White if Disney wanted a modern princess. And then there were the conspiracy theories. People started wondering if Disney had leaked the contract themselves to prep for a quiet exit plan, like they were testing the waters to see how fans would react if they recast the role or shelved the movie entirely. It was brutal. Even casual fans who didn't care much before were suddenly invested in the fallout. The idea that Rachel might have violated a massive contract by talking too much hit a nerve, because it played into this fantasy that Disney was punishing her for disrespecting the magic. Whether it's true or not didn't even matter anymore. In the court of public opinion, she was already guilty. Right now, Disney's acting like everything is fine, but all signs point to quiet panic behind the scenes. Snow White's release was already pushed back to 2025, officially due to the strikes. But fans aren't buying it. The truth? Disney has barely promoted the film since Rachel's Backlash. No new trailers, no teasers, no big announcements. They even deleted or archived a few early posts that featured her heavily. It's like they're stalling, trying to figure out if the movie is still salvageable or if it's going to be their next live-action flop. Some insiders are saying Disney's not planning to recast yet, but they are allegedly reworking parts of the film's marketing. Rumors suggest the final cut is being reshaped to highlight other characters, maybe even Gal Gadot's evil queen, to take the spotlight off Rachel. They know public opinion has shifted, and pushing Rachel right now would only make it worse. At the same time, they can't afford to scrap the whole thing. Too much money's already been spent. So what do you do when your lead actress becomes the main reason fans are turning on your brand? If those contract leaks are real, Disney might already be exploring their way out. And if Rachel's not playing ball, that 100 million clause might be their ticket. Rachel hasn't said a single word since the contract rumors dropped. No denial, no clarification, no shady tweet pretending she's unbothered. Just silence. And in Hollywood, silence usually isn't a power move. It's a red flag. Fans were waiting for some kind of response, even if it was just a PR-friendly, "This is false," but nothing came. And the longer she stays quiet, the worse it looks. People are starting to believe she's either being silenced by Disney or she's panicking behind the scenes trying to fix it. The silence also made fans go back and re-watch her old interviews with a new lens, picking apart every smirk, every sarcastic comment, every time she shaded the film. Some are saying this whole situation was a long time coming. Others think she's lawyering up and playing it safe until she knows how bad the fallout really is. But either way, her silence isn't giving classy. It's giving caught. Even her usual defenders on social media are running out of ways to spin it. People are asking, if this leak was fake, why wouldn't she just shut it down? And if it's real, how bad is it really behind the scenes? Right now, Rachel Zegler's future with Disney is one giant question mark. And depending on how deep this contract mess goes, she could be facing one of the most expensive career collapses in recent memory. If Disney decides to enforce the rumored penalty clause, she's not just walking away from a role, she's walking into a potential legal battle worth millions. And even if that doesn't happen, the damage to her image might already be done. Hollywood watches this kind of fallout closely. No studio wants to bet on an actor who can't keep the brand intact. There's still a slim chance Disney tries to spin this into a redemption arc. Maybe they'll push a heartfelt interview or let her clarify her comments closer to the release. But it's clear they've pulled back for now. And Rachel's silence suggests she knows just how messy it's all become. Whether she's prepping a comeback or just hoping this blows over, the clock is ticking. If the leaked contract is even half legit, she might owe Disney more than just an apology. The real question now? Can Disney save Snow White without Rachel? Or are they about to let the fairest flop of them all fade into the vault?